Welcome to our first in a series of AI shows with Oak Ridge National Laboratory experts and different people. We're going to start it all off with Gina Tourassi, who basically is the boss over there. I mean, she's basically the one who does all the big thinking, comes out of the ACC. We'll explain that in a minute. We're all sports oriented. So anyway, but Gina's going to work with us and tell us a little bit, and we're going to get orientated. We'll have a series of 6 shows culminating with Stephen sometime in March, the lab director. But all of this is good, and we're trying to learn more about AI. And just for everybody that's out there, artificial intelligence, it's changed, it's been different. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. I've seen Gina at E-Tech, some of the high-ups engineering. She does a lot of work in that area. But welcome to the show, and tell us a little bit about where you grew up. And you said you're from Greece.
Yeah.
Every winter in Greece, is there? Is there winter?
There is winter.
Really?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
But it's warm, right? I mean, more warm.
It is warm, and actually one of the reasons I like the South and I like Knoxville because the climate is almost identical to how I grew up with.
Wow.
4 seasons. Summer's hot, but 4 seasons.
Yeah. My father came during the Manhattan Project in '43. He was a radioisotope pioneer and was a chemical engineer. And he never wanted to go back to New England. He lived in New England growing up, said never again. My mother was from Illinois, Southern Illinois, and so they came down here and they never left. He just stayed for 35 years, and he just loved it. So same kind of thing.
Yeah,
you don't get. You may get a little extreme this weekend though. We may get 4 or 5, 6.
That's what I'm hearing.
Does it snow in Greece?
It
You've
remains to
learned
be
that.
seen.
You've been here long enough to know that don't mean anything. I mean, do we have a? Does it snow in Greece?
Yes, it does.
Occasionally.
Occasionally, certain parts, absolutely. Real snow, real
How big
winter.
is Greece? How big is Greece?
8 million people, and in terms of area, think of it the state of Pennsylvania, Greece, but spread up in hundreds of islands, right?
Wow.
So the mainland, it takes
Is
about
Greece
10.
elongated like Pennsylvania?
It's lengthy from top to
I
bottom,
got
and
it.
then islands on both sides, Ionian Sea
Athens
and
is in the
Aegean.
south.
More in the south. I grew up in the north, the second largest city, born and raised there until I came to the U.S.
What was the second largest city?
Thessaloniki.
Yeah, okay. So what I've always learned is that, I learned this about Italy and others, but mainly the industry's always in the north. And so for some, or where the water is, I guess would be better.
Well,
Of course,
the whole
Athens
Greece
cold.
is all around water, right? We're
Yeah, that's right,
surrounded,
that's
3
right.
sides are surrounded by water, so that's, ports everywhere.
So the big fishing industry.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I knew that.
But I would say
I
the
knew that in
biggest industry-
1983. I didn't know it now, though.
The biggest industry in Greece is tourism.
Oh, absolutely.
You can imagine that.
It'll be interesting to see what all this new thing. Is Greece is not part of NATO, are they?
They are. They've always been.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
I don't think of Greece as having a very large military, I guess.
We do because of the geopolitical
that
location,
makes sense.
strategic in between, Asia and Europe, but nothing that compares to the U.S.
So you went to school in Greece, you got an undergraduate degree in physics,
Yes.
and then you came to the U.S.
Then I wanted an adventure, so I applied to different programs across the U.S. for a graduate degree. And Duke University offered me a scholarship, and I pursued biomedical engineering because while I was doing my undergraduate studies in physics, I gravitated towards medical physics.
In mid-'80s is when you said, and it was a infant stages, embryonic stages of biomedical was just getting started, really.
Actually, the United States was further along everybody else because at the time they understood that medical physics is a field, but there is a strong connection to instrumentation. So that's why the biomedical engineering area that was started to blossom in the US. I gravitate towards that, and Duke University was only one of the 6 programs that existed in the US at the time. And at the time, in order to be at the forefront of biomedical engineering, you had to have a very tight connection to a strong medical center. And of course, Duke University.
That's a great one, absolutely.
And that's how it started, and the rest is history. It was a fantastic experience for me because yes, it was biomedical engineering, but my advisor was coming from nuclear medicine. That's the connection to nuclear physics.
Right.
So a lot of the work that I did was on spallation, photon emission, computed tomography, all the nuclear aspects. And it started from day one with artificial intelligence. How we can develop artificial intelligence the way we understood it so long ago.
We're going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, and my concept of it, and other people's concept of it is everybody can talk a paragraph about it, but nobody really understands what's going on, except for mathematicians.
And it keeps evolving over time, right?
Quickly.
Very quickly.
Very
Well,
quickly,
artificial intelligence, we forget that this is not a new technology. It started in the late 40s to beginning of 50s. That's when it was originally
So what does that
defined.
mean? Obviously, we didn't have people talking to us. We didn't have the groks. And so what it meant was the computers changed.
Yes, definitely the computing technology changed, but the definition of artificial intelligence has always been, can I build a machine that thinks and acts like a human being? It can reason
really?
like a human being.
And
What
did it do in the 50s? How did it
So
think?
what they did in the 50s was, how can I capture human intelligence in a machine? The way it started was, can I capture human intelligence in terms of rules? If this happens, or if I see this, that's what I decide. For example, if I see a round fruit that has color reddish, what are my options?
That's right.
The option could be an apple or a peach. So then what other rule can I throw in to help the machine make a better pattern recognition?
Okay.
The rule would be, let's look at the skin. Is it smooth or is it fuzzy? If it
How
is
does the
fuzzy,
machine know that? From
because we encode the rules.
That's what I thought.
It started with simple rules. So for every application that we wanted to solve,
But how
it
does the
was
machine,
one.
I understand the machine's coded to know the rules. How does it know that fruit sitting on that table is fuzzy?
We give a picture.
And
So
in the 50s and 60s, they could look at the picture?
started with very simple applications.
Okay.
Very simple applications. And over time, artificial intelligence evolved from this rule-based approach,
Got it.
scaling across different applications, one problem at a time, sitting with different experts giving us the rules to what we're experiencing today. And what we're experiencing today is basically dumping on big computers, lots of data, lots of pictures of fruits,
That's what I was going to say.
right?
That's it.
Lots of
You
pictures
get
of
the whole
fruits
table
from a
full.
different angle, from at different times. The typical example,
In
different
seconds, yeah.
animals. That's how everything started, and we're asking the computer through algorithms that we're developing to figure out what it is. So what we're experiencing now, it's the latest chapter of artificial intelligence at a scale that we have never experienced before because of the convergence of three things.
Okay.
Big compute, because you need to be analyzing data.
More faster.
Exactly. Lots of data, because the digital revolution happened in the 90s,
Right.
so everything is digitized these days.
That's correct.
And still smart people developing algorithms, smart algorithms. So the convergence of these three things that happened sometime in 2010 to 2015,
Sounds right.
that's when the major revolution happened, and we are experiencing now artificial intelligence in ways that we never experienced before. Because now we have these systems with all of these things together, being able to analyze information fast, synthesize information fast, and generate language, generate videos, generate new content. This is actually, that is completely transformative from what we had before.
Interesting. So, I mean, I'll go sorry, but AI, the computer, whatever we want to call it at this point, where it's all fed into the central intelligence, basically, we're flying 50 choppers into a country, or we're flying 50 choppers on an exploration to be less violent, et cetera. The bottom line, it still comes down to they can assess all of the data you need quickly. And
still
they
comes
have to
down
be
to
able
that.
to they have to be able to transform that into language that a pilot or a commander can see.
I would say not necessarily language, into insights.
Okay.
Sometimes it will be conveyed via language, or it will be conveyed via images. Again, to go back to my past in medical imaging, when I started my career and until I joined the laboratory, or a few years after that, I was developing artificial intelligence systems to analyze medical images, mammograms,
Sure.
to help radiologists identify breast cancers faster, earlier. Because
Earlier,
when you
yeah.
analyze an image, there is so much information coming, fast and furious. And
Is that
cancers-
widespread for everybody now?
Oh, absolutely. This is a technology
All kinds of
that
cancers,
most
right?
women experience when they do mammograms, and they don't know that in the back there is not only a human that interprets images, but it is a human supported by AI system, which effectively is another set of eyes, almost having two radiologists reviewing the image and discussing with each other. Did you notice this? What do you think about that location? That's how artificial intelligence is already deployed across many domains. We don't see it, but it's happening because it's supporting humans, expert humans, doing repetitive, difficult tasks, because detecting cancer, when it is very subtle, it's a looking for a needle in a haystack. And you have one haystack after another coming in front of you.
Yeah. That's the most clearest explanation I've ever had of AI. Let me. So we have the fastest computer in the world, or whatever. First, second. We go back.
Yeah,
and forth.
we always find,
Chinese
but
keep
yes.
up with us. I got it. So we're getting all this done, but it's fast enough.
Very fast.
And the bottom line is, do we push frontiers in AI and other things? I mean, let me back that up. Why ORNL and AI? Why did that marriage happen? I mean,
I love this question.
okay.
Because it gives exactly the necessary story. Everybody focuses on the latest computer or the latest AI. Why ORNL for AI? Because ORNL has been diligently working across these three dimensions that we talked about.
Okay.
Building big compute,
Right.
bigger, faster, better than anybody.
Okay.
We are globally recognized as the #1 leadership computing center across the world. We have consistently delivered systems that are #1 systems. No other institution across the world has that
Got it.
legacy.
Yeah.
The second part, data.
Okay.
We are generating scientific data at the lab using these very one-of-a-kind scientific instruments, the spallation neutron source, electron microscopes, the high-flux isotope reactor facility, the advanced manufacturing facility. Think of them as big scientific instruments that day after day, they generate a lot of credible, high-quality scientific data. So we have the big compute, we have a lot of data, and we have super smart people
Yes, that's
developing algorithms and applying these tools across different scientific domains. So how many places around the world can you think of that bring these three dimensions together?
No one.
So this is one part of the narrative. The other part of the narrative is,
So, putting that in perspective for us, ORNL had the tools. They could meet the challenge. They had the computer, they had the talent, they had the brains. So what became worldwide a rush towards AI and better stuff, it made sense for ORNL to try to get ahead of it.
Absolutely.
And build the best stuff.
absolutely.
Okay.
But something that we do not articulate very clearly is that what the world is experiencing right now is AI sitting on top of science or on top of applications. Oak Ridge has been building AI within the scientific domain for decades.
Okay.
And this is an important distinction if we want to be reactive into a disruptive change
Okay.
versus shaping
I got it.
the disruptive change. And I can give you a concrete example coming from the computing side.
Sure.
That the Oak Ridge National Lab is very proud of these inflection points in computing. Because again, inflection points happen, and either you follow everyone and you react, or you shape it. We were always building big computers. This goes back to 25, 30 years,
Yes,
right?
yes.
This is part of our history.
Yes.
But how do you build them? You build them because you just follow a brute force and you try to build something bigger and bigger and bigger. Yes, ultimately you want to have the most compute power, but do you build it smartly? Right?
True with everything.
We always built it smartly. And sometime around 2008, 2009, when we started designing the next system, because we deploy them every 6 years, just like a laptop, big computers have an expiration line, right?
Right.
We started thinking, how can we scale this? How can we make a bigger computer? And just building on the same processing units, this brute force didn't seem a smart way to do it. And at the time, we always look at what microelectronics advances are happening.
Sure.
And we took a very risky bet at the time.
Okay, what was that?
The risky bet was to design a chip
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
that was bringing the old processing units with a new processing unit.
Diabetes. It's telling me I shouldn't eat the Snickers bar, but that's all right. I'll just turn it off. Okay.
So we contacted a small gaming company at the time that they were focusing on graphical processing units, the GPUs.
NVIDIA.
And we said we would like to partner and design something new. And that was the beginning of NVIDIA, because
Yeah.
NVIDIA was a small, gaming company.
Sure.
The Titan supercomputer that was deployed, that was the first system in the world that was based on heterogeneous computing. At the time, artificial intelligence was not the application we had in mind. It was accelerating traditional modeling simulation, what we were doing on the supercomputers. But what I always say is that you give a new, powerful system, toy to scientists, and clever people know how to do more clever things with that system. And that's what led into GPUs, into the next system that became even more powerful for data-intensive workloads. That was the Summit supercomputer.
Right.
And the Summit supercomputer, that's where artificial intelligence was the killer app. The first LLMs started there, the large language models that we're talking about. So now when we say we do artificial intelligence on Frontier, of course, we integrated these technologies long time ago. For us, it's a natural evolution.
Is AI, a lot of it's about speed. I mean, how fast things can get done, computer programs. What challenges do coders face at this point? We have people all over the world competing to be the best coders, to put the best information in there. At ORNL, you have your own coders, right? You have people that work there that do stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So some people want to be fast. Other people want to get more data into a reasonable set. What's the real, in today's AI, when you see Elon running this way and Google running, what is the major challenges? What are the hurdles? What are they searching for?
So, Alan, this is a loaded question.
Sure,
because
I load them all the time,
it can go several different ways. When you refer to, XAI, OpenAI, Google, Apple, all of these companies that are investing heavily in artificial intelligence, as industry, they are focused on two things: speed and products.
And progress?
Products.
Products, yes.
They need to deliver products.
Okay.
The difference with the national labs and Oak Ridge, of course, speed is important. We innovate fast, we're at the forefront, but also robustness, trustworthiness, reliability, national resilience are equally important. So it's not just about generating code fast, but generating code that is resilient, interoperable with different systems. These are some of the areas where at Oak Ridge and other national labs we are focusing. I can tell you that already software development or code, how to write code, is a very ripe area where artificial intelligence helps our coders move faster. But at the forefront is the quality of the code, the reliability of the code, the reliability of the products that we have to develop is even more important.
Absolutely. Channel, let's take a 3-minute break and we'll be right back here on Between the Lines.
At ORNL, national security is a mission powered by science. We safeguard critical infrastructure, develop isotopes for health and defense, and protect the digital frontiers of tomorrow. In a world of emerging threats, we deliver breakthroughs for America that protect lives, systems, and the future.
America runs on power, and for nuclear power, we need enriched uranium, but almost all of it comes from overseas. In 2019, the Trump administration took action, working with Centrus to build the first new American-owned uranium enrichment plant in 70 years. And now, Centrus is ready to expand to meet our nuclear power and military needs, free from dependence on foreign suppliers. Centrus, American technology built by American workers.
This is Joe Heckman, President of Waste Management at Energy Solutions. Nuclear power is on the rise. Energy Solutions is part of this transition and part of the solution, delivering comprehensive services and assets that support the entire nuclear life cycle. Energy Solutions is protecting and preserving the environment for generations to come.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance technologies and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear, environmental, and clean energy fields.
Josh Anderson is a Republican who has fought for families across Anderson County throughout his adult life. Josh is a farmer, a husband, and a father. For 4 generations, his family has lived in Anderson County. A graduate of the University of Tennessee, Josh has served on the Anderson County Commission for 7 years and served as chairman for 3 years. Josh is a businessman who will put his experience to work for all of us. A supporter of term limits, Josh believes 2 terms as mayor is enough. Josh Anderson believes leadership starts with listening.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
At ORNL, innovation starts with discovery. From the smallest particles to the most powerful computers, we explore the unknown to unlock what's possible. We lead in quantum science, artificial intelligence, and fusion energy, turning bold ideas into emerging technologies that meet American priorities. Because when discovery drives innovation, the future takes shape at ORNL.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're talking to one of the smartest people in Oak Ridge and has a lot of great ideas. It's helping me understand this better. And I like to snapshot everything. I used to read a lot of books. Now it's so anyway, that's where we're at. And we're talking about AI and how its application and the role ORNL plays is significant. I mean, the leaders in the world. And well, basically we're just listening. So anyway, going back to it again, we have all of the AI we see is basically on conversations and research that the consumer does. In the business world, in the nuclear world, which I'm part of, and other things, I think it's more than that. It's much deeper, and I think we'll start with this question. How does ORNL fit into the Genesis project and the new DOE directives and some of the things that you think you can help play a role in bringing those things to fruition? Good question.
Absolutely,
Okay.
good question. And
Checking
we
it
play
off.
another leadership role over there. So when you ask people out there what is Genesis or the Genesis mission, people have different understanding.
I think it's Star Trek.
So,
I mean, remember the Genesis thing? I mean, that's what I think of.
so let's define Genesis mission.
Okay.
It is
As the federal government sees it?
as the Department of Energy
okay.
launched it. It is a vision, an aspiration. I don't want to call it a program in the traditional way. It's an initiative that thinks about we need to become smarter in the way we do science. We have been great in our scientific endeavors, but we live now in a world with all of the advances that we've made that scientific complexity is higher than ever before. Because we understand complex systems more and more and more, and now we are so deep into our understanding where there are many problems to solve, and we cannot manage and we cannot scale in the traditional way we do science. How do we do science? A smart scientist has an aha moment and says, this is a great idea, I would like to explore it. Then the scientist designs experiments, either with physical instruments or on a computer, because you design experiments on a computer, collect data, analyze the data, and see if the hypothesis that we had in our mind is valid or not. If it is not valid because the data do not, the validation, the experimental validation does not support the hypothesis we made, we go back to the drawing board and say, let me rethink this. Let me come up with a new hypothesis. And do this over and over again. This is what we call linear scaling. With such complex problems that bring so many different facets, that's not an efficient way to scale.
Thank you, that's good.
Right?
I'm going to get on that in a minute. I'm going to come back on this.
So then the question is, how can we accelerate this feedback loop, right? And that's what Genesis mission says. Let's think of ways, smart ways, intelligent ways to leverage. I want to call it advanced computing, because artificial intelligence is one tool in the toolbox, the important one that everyone focuses right now. But we need to be thinking about advanced computing technologies that can help us accelerate this feedback loop. And that's what Genesis mission tries to do. How we can connect in a more effective way, compute, big computers, instruments that generate data, the experimentation pipeline, so that the human, the smart human, spends less time on connecting things and more time thinking, getting this next aha idea. That's what Genesis mission is all about. So when people are afraid that AI will replace the scientist, this is not what it is. We want to cut the time, the dead time that the scientist spends either connecting to instruments, trying to do experiments. Let AI do these repetitive tasks that can be automated, while the human spends more time with the intellectual tasks.
Interesting. I'm from the production side. My mentality is I'm more a Pantex, Y12 guy like that. Whereas I understand Los Alamos and ORNL and everything else. But I think, especially in this administration, I think there's a demand on getting a smaller model, doing exactly what you say with safety, et cetera, but you don't take 12 or 15 years to build a UPF. That won't work. I'm using an example, and those are my buddies. I love them. But the bottom line is, well, maybe 31 now, maybe 32. No, that ain't going to happen. You've got to get these things done in an accelerating world and everything that's going on. And I see it everywhere. And I think there's going to be change in the next couple of years where they're going to say, look, you got to get this done. We need deliverables in a more reasonable time frame. So I think that's what I hear you saying in a different forefront.
Exactly. You're actually articulating in a more practical way, what does it mean? So Genesis has put a vision out there that says that if in the next 3 to 5 years at most, we can accelerate by productivity by a factor of 2.
That's fair.
That's going to be a major success. So if you take a scientist from the moment of ideation all the way to the moment of, yes, this is it. And if we take the time and we cut it in half, that's going to be a great success, because that can happen with many, many sciences across many different domains. And clearly, in some applications and some domains, I expect that we will see even bigger gains. But switching how we are thinking about scientific discovery with this accelerated feedback loop, we don't wait until the end for the experiment to fail. If throughout the process, when we design the experiment, the initial data tells us like something doesn't look right, readjust your experiment before the end of the experiment, that's a major gain. So these are the wins, the acceleration wins that you mentioned, that Genesis is targeting. And it's targeting those across different application domains that are important to the Department of Energy. Applications in science, applications in national security, applications in energy.
Energy, very good. Okay, so I think there's international pressures, social pressures, geopolitical pressures. I see it all the time. The Chinese are here, so we've got to get here. In maybe more in the cyber world, you see Iranians and some other cultures. But the bottom line is that there's this playing field, this chess match going on all the time. And why is that important? Because the funding follows those. And you've got to have funding to do your work. Los Alamos has got to have funding to do their work. Livermore, wherever it be. And I think the drive now is to be more efficient. And I think you're right on the money. And Genesis is on the. What year did Genesis come out? Last year?
Last November, 2025.
Like 15 months or 2 months?
Oh, no, 2 months ago.
Wow.
But the Department of Energy has been working in this new way, this paradigm shift of doing science for quite some time, because we could see the trends changing. Yes. We are fully aware of the tremendous investments that China has been making on more compute, on generating more data, on automation and robotics. So we knew that these trends are happening, and the Department of Energy has been putting this plan in place because we are the perfect test bed for the United States. Yeah. And why? Because we have the big compute, we have the biggest repository of physical science data in the United States. We have smart people, and we have an application space that matters tremendously for national missions, economic competitiveness. So if we can present that proof of principle within the Department of Energy ecosystem, extending to other federal agencies, this is a natural.
Yeah, the NRC has cut its schedule in half. Approvals for reactors are coming in 6 months. Other things are coming in 18 months, and building and permits and stuff. So I think a lot of different people who are impacted budget-wise and technology-wise with the Department of Energy are starting to move in that direction, and we see it. And I think it's important. I think you have to compete with the Chinese. You have to compete with other people.
It is certainly an uncomfortable change for many. If you're used in doing science a certain way or doing regulatory approval,
we can't do it yet.
Exactly. Every change, every disruptive change is uncomfortable. But at the same time, this is how we reinvent ourselves, and we force ourselves to be more clever. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I consider, as a scientist myself, and being at the national lab where we are ready for these kinds of challenges.
And we have to accept acceptable risk. We can't
Exactly.
stay at zero risk. I mean, you can run the models and run the models and run them, but we're pouring a major amount of money into reviewing how many tires you need on a car over and over and over again. The truth is, we got practical evidence that 4 will work. And that kind of thing. So that concerns me a little bit. Brad, let's take one more break here. We got about 15 minutes left. Let's go to the break real quick.
At ORNL, national security is a mission powered by science. We safeguard critical infrastructure, develop isotopes for health and defense, and protect the digital frontiers of tomorrow. In a world of emerging threats, we deliver breakthroughs for America that protect lives, systems, and the future.
America runs on power, and for nuclear power, we need enriched uranium, but almost all of it comes from overseas. In 2019, the Trump administration took action, working with Centrus to build the first new American-owned uranium enrichment plant in 70 years. And now, Centrus is ready to expand to meet our nuclear power and military needs, free from dependence on foreign suppliers. Centrus, American technology built by American workers.
This is Joe Heckman, President of Waste Management at Energy Solutions. Nuclear power is on the rise. Energy Solutions is part of this transition and part of the solution, delivering comprehensive services and assets that support the entire nuclear life cycle. Energy Solutions is protecting and preserving the environment for generations to come.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance technologies and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear, environmental, and clean energy fields.
Josh Anderson is a Republican who has fought for families across Anderson County throughout his adult life. Josh is a farmer, a husband, and a father. For 4 generations, his family has lived in Anderson County. A graduate of the University of Tennessee, Josh has served on the Anderson County Commission for 7 years and served as chairman for 3 years. Josh is a businessman who will put his experience to work for all of us. A supporter of term limits, Josh believes 2 terms as mayor is enough. Josh Anderson believes leadership starts with listening.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
At ORNL, innovation starts with discovery. From the smallest particles to the most powerful computers, we explore the unknown to unlock what's possible. We lead in quantum science, artificial intelligence, and fusion energy, turning bold ideas into emerging technologies that meet American priorities. Because when discovery drives innovation, the future takes shape at ORNL.
We keep talking about the future and everything that's there, so I'm going to bring up a few other things. We have fusion energy, we have quantum, we have a lot of things that we don't invest as much money as some of our other countries in the world do, et cetera, et cetera. And what is the impact of that, and what's the argument for putting more money into it? Knowing I'm not going to get anything out of it for 10 years, 8 years.
Well, you never know that. Definitely, when it comes to quantum computing, you have seen tremendous progress in the past 5 years. The Oak Ridge National Lab is seeing as its future a hybrid computer by 2033. So the next system will be more quantum capable. It's a little fuzzy word, but the 2033 system, we are absolutely seeing a quantum future for us. And these things don't happen in an abrupt binary way. One day you wake up and say, yes, now I will embrace quantum computing. We need to make strategic investments in the development of the technology, the development, let's say, of the software stack, because quantum computing is very different than classical computing, and development of our workforce. Just because you have a new exotic system, if the users, if the scientific community doesn't know how to use it, doesn't mean much. So when in computing, and you can take that example to other application domains in the nuclear space, fusion, and all of that, we need to be mapping the 5-year, the 10-year, the 20-year strategic plan and distribute investments. So we're certainly very tactical with what we need to do fast in the next 5 years. but make also intentional investments in other areas that seem very exotic, but if we're at the forefront of developing, we will be the first ones to run. We see that how China is doing it. They are making strategic investments for several years in quantum technologies and in nuclear, deploying nuclear reactors. So we need to take a few lessons from there. I would say that in the United States, the private sector, especially in the artificial intelligence space, as well as the quantum computing space, they have making a lot of investments, and we've seen the progress we've made. This coordination or complementarity between industry and federal agencies, DOE, is extremely important, because I see the Department of Energy as the ones that ensure reliability, national resilience, trustworthiness. We are the honest brokers. And that voice is extremely important, because it is not just about speed and product, but trusting the product and trusting the intent of the product.
But is it, to explain to people what quantum computing is?
I don't think anybody knows.
Then why are we putting money into it?
Well, we doesn't know exactly how it works. It is based on principles of, quantum physics, which are not exactly the very best understood, but we do see what quantum computing does at a small scale and what it can do in the future. So these are...
What can you tell me about it now?
So what I can tell you about now is that quantum computing appears to be extremely powerful with problems that classical computing cannot tackle. Problems that have a very large space of possibilities.
Okay. What does the word quantum mean? I still don't see the perception.
It is still a particle. You can think of it as a particle.
Okay.
But I would go back to exactly that. When you have a very complex problem to solve, and you have a very large number of possibilities to chase, with classical computing, you can chase so many at a time. It's the linear scaling we're talking about.
Right.
But quantum computing, because it can consider multiple things, it's like it can consider the possibility of being dead and alive at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Right? Something like that. So think about a very large number of possibilities that can be pursued at the same time by this system. You can get to the solution so much faster than anybody else. That's why the bet on quantum computing. And already we are tackling problems in this hybrid way. For example, you have a very complex problem, and it has a nugget of optimization there.
Okay.
You can carve the problem in a certain way that you can send the more classical pieces into the supercomputer, and this one nugget into the quantum computer, get the answer, and stitch it back to the solution. So this is, when I said before, you create a smart toy, and you give it a new toy, and you give it to smart people know how to make the most of it. We're seeing already this from our computing scientists. I say, I know that it is not exactly ready to solve the big problem, but I can take a small piece, carve it, give it to the small quantum computer that I have right now to accelerate the discovery process. Now imagine if this quantum computer is more capable, bigger, more stable. So this is how we are thinking about quantum computing. Industry is investing on different types of quantum computing technology.
Can you distinguish the types?
Yes, there are the iron traps, there are semiconducting, there are the optical side, there are different types of physics involved. We don't know which one will win. If you ask our scientific workforce, it will say it's not going to be one size fits all. There are going to be different problems that we will send to different types of quantum technologies. So how do these things converge? Classical computing, quantum computing, AI. Imagine a world.
All different.
But imagine them a symbiotic
relationship.
how would that work from the scientist's perspective? A scientific perspective, the scientist will still have this ideation and aha moment. I have this great idea that I would like to test, and I would like to test it via computation and experimentation. Let's say there is something like that. I want to design a new material with those kinds of properties that are important for this national security mission, extreme conditions. That material does not exist, but I want to design something like that. So this is my idea. So you go in, and with the help of artificial intelligence, you design an experiment that says, I want to design a material that has these kind of properties for this temperature, this, that, the other, Help me design an experiment, and AI helps you. This is what you need to send to validate the spallation, neutron source, and everything. This one, you cannot do it experimentally. Let's do it computationally. Let's design the experiment completely on a computer. Okay, we will design it on a computer. And then there is a part there that says, oh, this is going to take you forever on the classical computer. But you can send that to a quantum computer. What kind of quantum computer? Ion trap? Semiconducting? Depending on the scale of the problem and the type of physics, you say, maybe semiconductors are the best technology. So now artificial intelligence comes in and as an orchestrator does the traffic, divides the problem in conversation with a scientist, and they divide and traffic the problem into the different pieces. Information comes back. The scientist synthesizes the information, looks at the information, does it make sense, is it validated? And if some pieces, you don't exactly hit those properties for the material you're designing, you refine the problem. Or the results come back and say, no, what you were thinking is not possible, or let's rethink the problem. This is how the symbiotic relationship of these technologies will help the scientists move faster, bigger, better.
Very clear, really. I don't understand that.
It's a very exciting world, and being at the Oak Ridge National Lab where all of these pieces are there. I mean, that's what brought me to the Oak Ridge National Lab. In academia, it was great, right? You have your own laboratory with your postdoctoral fellows and the students, but you could never scale up. You never scale up the idea. It was research, but you could never scale up the idea. And then coming to the National Lab, not only I was able to scale up the idea because of the bigger computer, because that's what attracted me at the lab, but at the same time, I had these other scientists all around to take the experimental validation, to think and scale this problem at a level that was not possible in academia. That is a very unique ecosystem that is represented at Oak Ridge.
Interesting. Tell me about singularity a little bit. I mean, there's this argument that the community, the collection of intelligence, this overwhelming thing, could at some point take on an identity of its own. Not necessarily in a negative way or a positive way, but it could act without human input. That's a risk possible? I don't know much about it.
No, not at all, because actually I have read quite a bit on this, trying to decide what is my position, right?
Very good.
And at the same time, I have heard, you can go and see podcasts and interviews from the Illuminati of artificial intelligence, the godfathers of artificial intelligence, that they even debate between themselves that topic.
Yeah.
One totally believing that the end is near, and the other saying, not really. I come from, so I decided that this is not an area where I would like to take a certain position, because it doesn't matter.
That's exactly right.
It doesn't matter. So I'm asking the question as a scientist myself at another important point of a disruptive change. Industrial Revolution was a disruptive change. Sure. The press. When
Gutenberg.
That was electricity, another huge disruptive change. Internet, in the beginning of 90s, when it was created for scientists, who would have envisioned what would be next? I see that as another one of those I experience the internet and I see the possibilities, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Sure.
I fully recognize that.
But that's the way it's always been.
But that, exactly. So it comes down to technology, because we're talking about technological advances. All of these were technological advances. In the end, it's going to happen. Do you want to be in the driver's seat, or do you want to be reacting to this? As a scientist, as a consumer, I believe as a scientist, and for the United States, that's not a question. That's a given that we need to be at the driver's seat.
That's correct.
So that's what Genesis is all about. That's what Oak Ridge National Lab is all about, shaping the disruptive change, shaping this revolution, because we have the right ethos, and we can put the guardrails that are needed. We can do the validation and verification with a proper mindset. It is not about the products. So to me, singularity or not, if it happens, when it happens, with any technology, unintended consequences are inevitable. And if we try to control it too much, bad actors will be out there and they will do what they need to do. So we need to be at the forefront.
And I think that's the real issue. It takes a lot to build a weapon or to go over here and build a dam or big nuclear. It doesn't, artificial intelligence is pretty mobile. I mean, people all over the world. So I think there'll be more participants, characters.
Absolutely.
And we'll try all kinds of different things.
Absolutely. And actually, you're bringing up a very good point. In all of those disruptive changes that we mentioned, historical disruptive changes, all of them had the similarity of people became deeply uncomfortable. Jobs were impacted. Either were lost and many were created. People learn to adapt to this change.
The assembly line.
This one is different from the ones before because the pace of change
That's correct.
is so extreme that none of us knows how to deal with this pace of change. Furthermore, I was reading a very interesting book that said that we need to look at the demographic changes that are happening across the world.
Okay.
In all previous changes, how did population look like? It looked like a pyramid with a very flat, with a very wide bottom. Lots of, younger generations, and as we're moving up and up, of course, the pyramid, the different age groups. If you look at the pyramid right now for the United States and how it's changing, by 2050, which is not very far away, it's 25 years. 25 years is nothing.
Yes.
You know how the pyramid will look like in the US?
No.
It's going to be tall, sharp, with a narrow bottom. Basically, if you take every 5 years of age, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, all the way to 60, it's going to be 6% of our population. So suddenly, there will be many more of the older generation dealing with these extreme changes that are happening. So for us to ignore this change and how it's impacting our workforce, how it's impacting our scientists, how it's impacting us as regular people living day-to-day life, it is a huge blind spot. The better we prepare ourselves emotionally, mentally, and with these skills, the better we will be as a nation.
It's interesting. I do political polling for a living, too. I go and survey thousands of people. What are your opinions on which one? Who do you like? Who do you not like? And I have found that people I think the statement was, Z, my son's is 20, and Generation Z, whatever they call it, from 29 down, it's just amazing how different they are. I mean, it's off the charts, how they're geographic. I mean, their whole world is based on what they've read and what they've inputted. And you make a good point. Those people will be 45 before we can blink. And everybody that's basically holding on to power is 103. So, I mean, they don't get a lot of roll, right? So, I mean, the bottom line is that I think it's going to be radical. Politically, social structure is going to change radically. I don't think they care. I talk to them. I have 4 or 5 that work for me that go to college and do different tasks for me and research and stuff. And I think they're just not participating at this point. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's going to change. So And I think AI has a big role in that, or information has a big role in that, and they can generate, but I'll sit and read in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee, and I know half of the stuff I'm reading is not true. It's a bot. Somebody's throwing a bot at me.
I believe just with every technology, I can give you another example from my old times. When we were developing the AI tools for the radiologists were extremely skeptical. Extremely skeptical. Why would I believe this voodoo box telling me this? So we knew that was a cultural change for them. But even back then, the older radiologists, the 40s, 50s, versus the residents, they had a completely different approach to the technology. Because the ones who were in their 20s, they were gamers, even back then, the old kind of games, but they were very comfortable with technology. Now, if you go back to the generation of the radiologists who are now 40 and 50, because we are 20 years later from that, all of them use AI. The fear back then, the line we used to, in interviews that I was doing, is that the risk we run with the first time you deploy something new, you have to make sure that the user doesn't use it as a crutch. Because if they use it as a crutch, they forget how to walk. So we have to be smart consumers of any toy we are given, any tool. Right now, we are still in this infancy. We learn how to be smart consumers of what we read. Is it coming from AI? But if you look even with AI, because, all the social media, it is flooded with videos that now all of us look at the video and say, oh, definitely AI generated. I can tell.
Yeah.
So I do expect that we will evolve also as consumers of that technology. So I'm not as fearful. We will become smart, because we have demonstrated as human beings that we are smart. We're just, if it's something new, we don't know, we don't have prior information, but the more we deal with something, we become smarter.
We have 3 minutes left, so I'm going to ask you this question. Where will ORNL be in 20 years? Oak Ridge National, where do you see it growing? Where do you see it going?
It will continue to thrive the way that we have thrived for several decades. For my legacy at Oak Ridge, I want to be the associate lab director that will deploy the first quantum computer at a large scale for science, because that's going to be an amazing chapter in ORNL's computing history. And I do believe that we will be Genesis, with this name or another name or post-Genesis, we will be the smart laboratory of the future.
I think reputation's there. I know my father was one of the pioneers in medical isotopes, and they were shipping isotopes around 50s, 60s as it evolved. So there was a role, like in your background, there was a role in medicine. ORNL played a major role.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They defined nuclear medicine.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And we had our friends here in town, Dr. Goswitz and others 30 years ago who were using it early. I just think ORNL, I think the breadth of what ORNL does is not well known. I think everybody sees it as a research laboratory, but they don't know what you're researching. And I think that the participation and the input of ORNL into the real world issues that are going on right now is pretty significant.
I think podcasts such as this help us.
Help us learn a little bit.
Spread the message.
I think so. That's another way to thank Sarah for, but that's where it goes.
Absolutely.
1 minute. What do you want to say? Anything you want to talk about for 1 minute?
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to
honestly,
spread the word.
This is one of my
and
favorite
basically,
shows. How many shows, Chandler, have we done?
Express my excitement for Oak Ridge. This is a great place as a scientist to work and live.
She said this is 141st show we've done, and this may be my favorite. It's been really, I hadn't had to do much. That's the good part. But I have learned so much, and I'm in the world. I'm in the business world now. I mean, I'm in the nuclear world now. But I'm on the other side. But I still think I've had a lot of friends work at ORNL and research and things over the years. And I appreciate you coming here. And
thank you for the opportunity.
So long. Yeah, I mean, that's great. Well, keep us informed. I'll see you at ETech, and thank you for everything you do. Thank you. Gina Tourassi, Associate Lab Director, Oak Ridge National Laboratory. 15 seconds. Okay. He wants me to strain it out just a little bit. We're going to have 5 more shows, ending with Stephen, the director, and we're going to talk about, I know I'll talk about fusion energy with him. So we got a lot to talk about. Thank you, Gina.
Thanks so much, Alan.
All right. Bye-bye.